Hello, it's Monday, March 20th of 2023, and today I'm here at Washington Union Station to be taking an Acela train, Acela number 2160, from here to Boston South Station. The train covers 457 miles, with a scheduled journey time of just under 7 hours, which is about an hour and a half faster than the more local Northeast Regional service, which takes, on average, just over 8 hours. Every time I come here, I'm always impressed by how beautiful this station looks. And it was restored a few years ago, so it looks especially shiny and golden. So I'm going to go print out my tickets now because I want them on paper. I think it's nicer and it's a cool souvenir of my trip. This is kind of funny. Here we go. Aha. I think it's a two-way, or a return ticket. So my train departs at 9:55 in about an hour. I got here pretty early so I could eat and have time to record. This back part of the station where you actually board is not nice though. I just realized they're showing a Greyhound on this departure board here. That's interesting. Like, this is literally the only bus on the board. After grabbing a sandwich from the Pret at the station and waiting in the unnecessarily long boarding line, although it moved quite quickly, I was walking down the platform to my car. Amtrak Acela services do have assigned seating, and I was sitting in car 5 near the front of the train. My tickets for this trip were only $74 each way because I purchased them about 2 months in advance. If you bought them only 1 day in advance, for example, they would be $353 each way, which is quite ridiculous, but that's what happens when the National Train Company is a for-profit company. The Amtrak Acela service is the fastest route in the Americas, traveling at a max speed of 150 miles an hour in certain sections, although the average speed along the route from DC to Boston is slightly under 70 miles an hour, which is only slightly faster than driving, which doesn't say much about how high speed this line is. I entered the train through the semi-level boarding door in car 5 and made my way to my seat. At least you don't need to climb any stairs, unlike the Northeast Regional and almost every other Amtrak service. The seats on the train are quite spacious, with quite a large tray table as well, although not very sturdy. The seats also have a footrest, which I didn't find that useful, as it kind of lifts my legs in quite an awkward way, but for some, it may be quite a nice feature. The windows on this train are also slightly wider, I think, than the Northeast Regional windows. The seats also have this headphone jack for what looks like an old radio system. The seats are also quite nicely padded, although nothing too special. After waiting for about 10 minutes, the train departed on time, and I was on my way for my first solo Amtrak trip, and my first trip on the Amtrak Acela. After only about 30 minutes, we were already approaching our first station stop of the trip, Baltimore Penn.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next station stop will be Wilmington, Delaware. Joseph Hardline Junior Station will be next, approximately 45 minutes, Wilmington.
The train then crossed the Susquehanna River and passed right through Perryville Station, which is the last station on the MARC commuter rail and officially puts us out of the DC-Baltimore area. The train then stopped at Wilmington Station and then made its way to Philadelphia. After leaving Philadelphia, I decided to check out the bathroom. The bathroom that I used was a bit meh. I struggled with the sliding door, and the mirror was a bit wonky, although the toilet, sink, and hand dryers worked fine. After a short while, we approached Metro Park Station, which is pretty much a park-and-ride in the middle of nowhere in New Jersey. And shortly after that, we were approaching, as the conductor called it,
Newark, downtown Newark, New Jersey. If Newark is your station stop, please take this remaining time to gather up all your personal belongings.
After departing Newark, the train passed through, let's just say, some interesting scenery. The train ran straight through Secaucus Junction, New Jersey Transit Station, and then dove into the Hudson River tunnels towards New York City. New York Penn Station marks the halfway point of this trip in terms of distance as the crow flies, but not in terms of time, as the tracks past New York towards Boston are more windy and thus have a reduced track speed. In New York, the train waits for about 10 minutes as the majority of passengers on the train leave and a new set of passengers board the train. Since the platforms at Penn Station are very narrow, passengers wait in the concourse level, so it takes a while for everybody to come down into the train. The drivers, conductors, and other crew members also leave the train, and a new set of crew members replace them for the rest of the journey. All tickets are also rescanned. Right after leaving Penn Station and when on the Hellgate Bridge, I saw some beautiful views of New York City, and also a Long Island Railroad train to Grand Central, which was pretty cool. And it just makes sense that after beautiful skyline views, you would get the dirty underside of a highway. Look at this super high-speed traveling that we're doing right here. You can really tell that this is the fastest train in the Americas. We stopped in Stamford and then New Haven, and after New Haven I decided to go and check out the cafe car. The cafe car is actually pretty nice, with a good-sized menu and a nice seating area. I got a hot dog, and it tasted like a hot dog, so 6 out of 10. The train then passed by this really nice beach, which I did not expect. This is the high-speed section south of Providence. There's also another high-speed section north of Providence. The distance between New Haven and Providence is the longest distance between two stops on the route, taking 1.5 hours to get from one to the other. Here at Providence Station, I saw a T commuter train, the first true sign of Boston.
She has another sex and clothes, right? That she's working on right now.
We then arrived at Route 128 station, which I think has to have the most creative station name on the Amtrak network for sure. The train then paralleled the MBTA Orange Line to our penultimate stop, Boston Back Bay. A lot more people got off at Back Bay than I expected, about half of the passengers on the train. But that kind of makes sense, as Back Bay is one of the two main stations that the Acela goes through in Boston. The other being the next and final stop, Boston South Station. After about 5 minutes, the train slowly pulled in to Boston South Station, bang on time. So that was a fun trip overall. A bit chilly at points in the train, the AC. I was right under the AC all the time. And the scenery was a bit depressing a lot of the time, but there was nice scenery like the beach. And especially New York from the bridge, the Hellgate Bridge, and the Triborough Bridge, or the RFK Bridge. But yeah, that's all from me for today. See you in the next video. One more thing, I arrived at DC Union Station on the Metro Red Line, and I will be taking the MBTA Red Line to my final destination, which forms a Red Line Amtrak Acela sandwich.